True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is January 25th, 2026. We're almost through January. We have here in New York, we're in the middle of a blizzard. I'm getting like 2 feet of snow, probably. I don't know yet. It's not over. It's still going, but probably have like 10 inches to a foot right now already. And it's supposed to snow overnight. So we'll see how it is in the morning. But it's funny because I know on the podcast, since we've been doing this for so many years now, it is going on 6 years, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. But I'm sure there's been many times where I've been like, it doesn't snow in New York anymore. We never get snow. It doesn't snow anymore, which was true. And then this year, we've gotten so much snow. And now I'm sick of it because of the snow removal. Not that I'm the one doing it, but like Mike always has to go out and shovel the snow, or I have to be like, go shovel the snow. Can you clear off my car? Like,
you had to eat words.
Yeah, like I have to just like exist in this world of snow removal, and it's annoying. So yeah, it's a lot of snow. We'll see how it is. Luckily, it's light snow, so I don't, knock on wood, think I have to worry about losing power or anything like that. It's not windy. As I said on Patreon, I was talking about it. I was like, honestly, there's a lot of hype for something that's pretty underwhelming. Like, it's just snowing and you just can't leave the house, which I don't do anyways since I've had a baby because that's way too difficult. But I was just saying I couldn't think of anything else to talk about really for this episode because I live in, it's just like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same, it feels like. But I did force myself to go out to Target before the storm because I wanted to get baby Jack some overnight Millie Moon diapers that they only sell at Target. So we went out, we braved the cold, we went to Target. I sanitized my hands a lot because I was like, everything I touch has the flu on it, I'm sure.
Yeah. This time of year for you would be bad.
Ugh, it's so bad here. Apparently everyone who's gotten the flu has said it's just awful. So I'm not leaving the house. There's snow, it's cold, there's sickness.
Oh, good reasons to stay in.
Yeah. What about you? You have the opposite weather, we were saying.
Yeah, total opposite. So it's a holiday weekend here. So it's Monday today. So everyone, like a lot of people are off work today. So yesterday we went to barefoot bowls, which I know I've spoken about in the past, and we had a lot of comments on it. So that's why I thought I'd give an update. So we did bowling, but it was so hot. Like, I don't know, it was like 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And because obviously it's meant to be barefoot, but the pitch is artificial grass, which is essentially plastic. So it was way too hot to have bare feet. So they let us wear shoes. So it really wasn't barefoot bowling.
So it wasn't barefoot bowling.
But you're not meant to wear shoes usually because of like it damages the pitch, which is why you can do barefoot if you don't have proper bowl shoes, I guess. But anyway, they let us wear shoes yesterday. So it was crisis averted, but it was very, very, very hot. Today is not as hot. It's still warm, but it's overcast and a little bit cooler. Whereas yesterday there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was just like you walked outside and the heat just blasted you in the face. So we've only got 1 month left of summer, so I'm not whinging because I do, like, summer is definitely my favorite. It's so pleasant just when the days are lighter and everything like that. So 1 more month to go.
I can't wait. Especially because me and Mike have been saying, like, having a summer baby, you don't really think about it, but by the time you would want to like go out and bring them out and do things, like it's winter.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to like bring them outside and the nice weather, do anything like that yet. And even just going out, like I don't want to bring him out in weather that's 9 degrees that feels like -3. So you're just like trapped inside. I can't even go outside and get some fresh air because there's 2 feet of snow.
I had one of each actually. I had one in July, which is peak winter, and one in December, so peak summer.
Yeah. So anyone who's planning to get pregnant, think of that because
take that
feels a little crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to go in my yard.
At least when he's a bit more mobile, you'll be able to go outside. Like at least when he wants to run around and crawl around and stuff, you can take him outside. It'll be warmer.
Yeah, that's what's keeping me going. We're almost there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like February is a short month. March, it's usually still pretty cold. Then after that, April's probably still kind of cold too, but warming up. So we're almost there.
I feel like sometimes, I don't know if anyone else feels the same about this, but like sometimes it takes me a while to transition from one year to the next. Like usually I'd still be writing 2025 and I'm like, no, it's 2026. But I haven't done that this year. It just seems like it's just been a smooth, seamless transition. January's flown by,
nice.
so it's good.
I haven't had to write, so.
Yeah, true. I guess I probably write a lot less than I need to, than I ever did these days.
Well, since I haven't been working, I haven't had a reason to have to write the date. But I was actually writing thank you cards for my baby shower very, very late, which I wrote in the cards. And I was like, my handwriting has gotten atrocious because I just haven't written for so long.
Anytime I need to use a pen, because I just type everything generally, but if I actually have to write, I'm like, wow, this is a lot.
I used to have nice handwriting that I thought was cute, and I was like, this looks horrible. It's embarrassing. I shouldn't even send these out. They're late and ugly now. We do have our Patreon shout out.
Yes, because it's hard on Patreon. Like I need to make a note where I finish off, but I think these are all the new ones.
Right here on the notes.
Yeah, I should do that. So
we could just go back and look.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. So we'll start with Kelly. Hold on. We'll start with, end with Alicia. It'll be.
Yeah.
I'll just put that in there. So I think the Patreons that we've had, I think this is everyone. If I did accidentally miss you, please let me know. We can give you a shout out. But we've got Kelly, Christian, Shanna, Laurie, Elaine, and Alicia. So thank you so much.
Woo.
So we are getting better at remembering listener of the week sometimes. I have remembered this week. So this was a comment on our Stein Eric Solberg episode about AI. It's from Molly. She said, long-time listener, you guys are the best. This is horrible, no doubt. I do believe there needs to be a better explanation for the use of AI/ChatGPT. I use it for marketing and branding, and it easily caters and tells you what you want to hear, especially if you're a prolific user. It's a chameleon. Do your research, take care of yourself, and pay attention. So thank you, Molly, for the comment. We had quite a few comments from people. Like a lot of people were echoing our sentiments about, the use of AI being dangerous and people don't like it. But I just feel like it's something that isn't going to be going away anytime soon. But we do enjoy reading all the comments, so keep them coming on our Spotify episodes.
Yeah. I also felt a little bad because I had totally shit on people who talk to AI as a friend. And I do kind of stand by that, but I felt a little bad because people were like, I love talking to my chat bot. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a dick to you. My bad.
I've told so many people about this episode, in real life. People are like, oh, what have you recorded on lately? And and everyone I've spoken to is mind blown about it. In terms of the AI ChatGPT episode, but everyone also has the opinion, tells you what you want to hear. It learns your tone. It learns.
Well, that's why it's meant to keep you talking to it. That's how they make money and keep it going. They want you to be addicted to talking to it.
Yeah,
that's I put in a clip in that episode that talked about that. Yes, it tells you what you want to hear because it wants you to keep talking.
Yeah, exactly. It wants you to keep using.
Not to get into AI again. Let's get into what we're talking about today. We're going to be doing an episode on kids who kill, which we haven't done for a while. And when we say kids who kill, not all of these kids are actual children. Yeah. They killed their parents is more so what it is.
Because sometimes there are, we can do a whole episode on young children, but this one is, most of the cases are adult children who have specifically killed their parents.
Yeah.
Before we get into the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, ButcherBox. We know 2026 is our year. It's going to be your year too. If it's your year to feel stronger, eat smarter, or simply simplify the dinner routine, ButcherBox delivers the good stuff. High-quality proteins with no antibiotics, no added hormones, and no mystery labels. Just the kind of clean fuel that supports actual results. ButcherBox delivers over 100 premium protein options straight to your door, including 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, crate-free pork, and wild-caught seafood. For over a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and
my box a couple weeks ago now, and it's great because you can just keep what you're not ready to use yet frozen. So I still have some things that I'm going to use, especially during this big snowstorm. I'm going to make some ribs, and I'm so excited to do it because they look delish, and everything that I've had from the box was really good. We had some ribeye, we had sirloin tips, there's chicken tenderloins, and I made some great recipes with them. As an exclusive offer, new listeners can get their choice between organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for a year, plus $20 off when you go to butcherbox.com/TCS. That's right, your choice of organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off your first box and shipping and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/TCS. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. So the first one we are going to talk about is a very recent one. It's from January 2026, and it is about Clayton Dietz, who was 11 years old. And he allegedly shot and killed his father, Douglas, who was 42, after he took away his Nintendo Switch. And just to note, Clayton, who's 11, has been publicly identified and named in the media and legal documents. So that's why we're also saying his name. Because then a lot of times when it's a minor, they hide the name or they use initials.
Yeah.
But we're not just like saying his name. Like it's just out there. So
I feel like it must be state or location based because I know some places don't do it. This kid's name and photo is out there everywhere. Whereas even when we did what's her name, Anna Kepner, the cruise ship girl whose death is still unsolved. The suspect in that case is a minor, and like his name is out there, but not. Like it shouldn't be, like it's not, hasn't been put out, but there by the media or legal sources. It's just out there because people know who he is. But it's interesting how sometimes they're very open with minor details, like the details of a minor, not minor details, but the details of a minor. This case, this kid's photo is out there everywhere. His name is everywhere. So if you're wondering why sometimes we use names and sometimes we don't, it just depends on, I guess, legal reasons.
If it's officially
out
released. There, not like leaked.
Yeah.
The family was in this home celebrating their son's 11th birthday. That's when court documents say their son found a gun and shot his adopted father. This happened Tuesday around 3 a.m. When state police arrived, the young boy named Clayton Dietz had a bloody lip and injuries around his eye. Court documents do not explain how he was hurt. The documents do say, however, that Clayton was looking for his Nintendo Switch, which was taken away from him when he found the revolver in a safe inside the home. Troopers say that he then took the gun and shot his father in bed next to his mother. 42-year-old Douglas Dietz was found dead. In the interview room, his wife said she woke up to the sound of a gunshot. Then her son confessed to her, saying, quote, "I killed my dad. I hate myself," end quote. Before the shooting, she told troopers that they put their son to bed while singing happy birthday to him. Neighbors who knew the family say this violence was very out of character for the young boy.
I knew him personally. Like I said yesterday, the child used to come over and ask me if he could help me and stuff like that. Always well-mannered, yes or no, sir. It confuses me that something this little of a thing caused him to do this. I don't think he even had time to react to what he was doing.
Okay, so Douglas and his wife Jillian were living on South Market Street in Duncannon, Pennsylvania. They adopted Clayton in 2018 when he was 3 years old. And there's not much information about the adoption that we can find, but there's some information about Douglas and his first marriage. He had a previous marriage that he did have children from, but Clayton is not from that marriage. Clayton's totally just adopted. Douglas's first marriage was said to be volatile. In January 2015, his first wife filed a protection from abuse order against him after an argument involving their 3 children. His wife alleged that she suffered severe abuse and that she felt trapped and coerced into a relationship that began when she was 16 years old. The order remained in place for 3 years. According to an article by the Daily Voice, in the months prior to January 2026, Clayton's parents had asked the Susquehanna School District for help. They wrote a letter saying that Clayton had been diagnosed with autism and was experiencing escalating behavioral issues, including sexual harassment, aggression, and theft. Jillian and Douglas requested a referral to a behavioral and educational center. They said that they've requested a referral in the past, but had been denied as he did not meet the criteria. His parents said that ignoring their efforts to seek help was not only negligent, but it was dangerous. They also wrote that refusal to make a referral could violate Pennsylvania criminal code statuses involving child abuse and endangering the welfare of children. They said if Clayton's behavior continued to escalate due to lack of help, the district could be held criminally liable.
Jerry, David Stuckey is not just a family friend. The Dietz family considers him as an uncle to the 11-year-old Clayton William Dietz, who is accused of shooting and killing his own father just 2 days ago.
I would be honored to be noted as half the man or father that Doug was.
David Stuckey had only known Douglas since he met his wife, Stuckey's close childhood friend, Jill.
I couldn't even begin to paint you the picture of Jill right now. In the matter of a millisecond, her entire world changed.
The Dietz family, Jill, Doug, and Clayton, would virtually call Stuckey 2 or 3 times a week as he is studying in Mexico right now.
My title to Clayton is Uncle David. If you ask him who I am, he will tell you I am Uncle David. We have a unique bond.
Stuckey studies clinical mental health and tells me Clayton deals with autism, which escalated quickly in 2025.
I will say it's remarkable, the leap in the red flags that we noted to the extreme of this event.
Stuckey says at Douglas and Jill's request, he drafted a letter to the Susquehanna School District asking to move Clayton to a behavioral education center.
In the letter, I was speaking to the tune of the school violence that we're seeing, and that some of these subtle behaviors could eventually lead to a situation.
But the family, including Stuckey, says despite all specialized education, they never saw this coming.
The two loved each other. They had a great father-son bond. It's picturesque. It's shocking. It's so cliche to say. It's very close to home. It's personal now for me.
It's kind of eerie to know that now that they reached out for help, and then basically the worst thing that could happen did happen, even though they were trying to get help for their child. I haven't seen it confirmed if they did end up getting the referral, but this was just the last few months. So obviously there's a process to follow.
I think it all just kind of happened fast.
Yeah, seems like it.
That's why these stories make me so sad when the people are like trying to get help and just they can't get it. It seems like because they're trying.
And even in this case, they had tried before that. They'd tried previously and they'd been denied the referral. Yeah. So it sounds like they were getting desperate. The behavior was escalating. And as a parent, what can you do if you're trying to get help and the people aren't helping you? Like, what else can you do?
It's like their hands are tied, unfortunately. Yeah. So Clayton's 11th birthday was on January 13th, 2026, and Jillian made a post on social media and wrote that her sweetest, smart, brave, mouthy little boy was turning 11.
And mouthy Jillian was all capitalized too. So the rest is just normal, but she's capitalized the whole entire word of mouthy. So I guess.
Yeah. So Jillian has said that she and Douglas stayed up until after midnight to wish him a happy birthday, and then they went to bed. Jillian said that she was sleeping and she was awoken a few hours later by a loud noise. She said she smelled something similar to fireworks, and she tried to nudge Douglas, but he wouldn't move. She then heard what she thought was water dripping. She turned on the light and realized that it wasn't water dripping, but blood. Jillian called 911 around 3:20 a.m. Officials found Douglas dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Police said that Clayton then entered the bedroom and shouted, "Daddy's dead." Troopers at the scene also said they heard Clayton tell his mother, "I killed Daddy." Clayton told the police that he had a good day with his parents. Court documents state that Clayton said when his dad told him he needed to go to bed, he got mad at him. Apparently he was playing his Nintendo Switch and his dad was like, "No, you need to go to bed," and he took the Switch away from him, which upset him. When police asked Clayton what happened, he said, "I shot somebody." The affidavit said he admitted that he had someone in mind whom he was going to shoot, whom he identified as his father. Jillian told police that they had a gun safe in the bedroom, but that she didn't know where the key was kept. But Clayton said that he actually found the key in Douglas's drawer. He had unlocked the gun safe in an attempt to find his Nintendo Switch. Clayton admitted to removing the gun from the safe, loading bullets into it, and walking over to his father's side of the bed. And he stated that he pulled back the hammer and fired the gun at his father. I was shocked that he knew how to load a gun.
And also, this kid is literally just 11. He turned 11 that day. So essentially we are really talking about a kid who is, 10 years old, knows how to load a gun, I have so many questions about all of this. And also it sounds like it probably happened in the dark. If the gun safe was kept in the bedroom, he found the key. Like I just have a lot of questions which we don't have any answers to. But, because Gillian's saying that the gun safe was in their room, like maybe it was in some type of wardrobe or something, I don't know, closet. But like how did all this happen without her waking up? And, how did this kid know how to load a gun and shoot it at his father?
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot.
Yeah.
When police asked Clayton what he thought would happen when he fired the gun, he said that he was mad and he hadn't really thought about it. Jillian also told police that Clayton told her, "I killed my dad. I hate myself." So it's sad because you could tell he's like a little kid. Like, and as you mentioned, he's on the autism spectrum. So it does seem like this was a very impulsive thing for him to do, and he doesn't really understand what he did. But again, that's why this isn't meant to sound victim shaming, but just for people out there, like this is why gun safety is so important. Like if you are going to have a gun in your house, make sure the key isn't somewhere that a little kid can find it.
And especially a child that you are having, well, I don't know, maybe I'll just say. And if, obviously they said they were having behavioral issues with Clayton. They were experiencing aggression and some inappropriate behavior. So I just wonder why Douglas kept the key in the drawer where, surely there could have been a better place to put it. Again, I'm not victim blaming, but you have a responsibility as a gun owner to make sure your gun is secure, and keeping a key in a drawer where a kid can access it, especially a troubled child, is not the best move.
Yeah, totally. Authorities know that Clayton also had a large contusion above his left eye and a small laceration near the middle of his lower lip, which they don't really go into about, but I was wondering if it was from the recoil of the gun.
Yeah, maybe like the contusion above his eye, because I don't know if they could both have happened. If, I guess, she said, I don't know. We don't know how many times he was shot. Surely it wasn't multiple times because that would have been mentioned. Maybe it was just the once, but maybe I agree. Maybe the laceration near his lip could have happened if it recoiled back, and maybe the abrasion or contusion is just unrelated because he's a kid and he might have hurt himself. But I do have questions about those injuries too.
Yeah. So according to state police, Clayton was taken into custody and charged with criminal homicide. Clayton was denied bail and is being held at the Perry County Prison. A hearing was originally scheduled for January 22nd, 2026, but it's been postponed to February 19th, 2026. Just a very sad story. Just thinking about this poor kid, like he's ruined his life basically, unless there's some type of reform program, but like he's in jail. He's 11 years old. He's on the autism spectrum. Probably doesn't really understand what he did, but he's in jail, and it's sad because his parents were trying to get help for him.
And even like he's been housed in a prison. Like, I feel like often they take them to kind of like we call them, like juvenile detention or a juvenile type facility, but it sounds like he's been held in a prison.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah, very, very sad. I have a lot of questions in this case. There aren't any answers. Like there's not even an obituary that I can find for Douglas yet, but we don't know why Clayton was adopted. Like maybe it could have been a fertility thing and they just adopted a child, but like I have just questions about his behavior too, what was actually happening in the lead up in the months to this, the escalating behavior. There's very, very, very little information at the moment coming out. And he was due to go to court last week, but obviously, as you mentioned, it's been postponed. So maybe once he goes, we'll find out a bit more. But I just feel like when there's a minor involved too, these things take a lot longer. There's a lot of different things that they need to consider. So I feel like this might be a very ongoing one.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we finish up with the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Nutrafol. As we all know, resolutions can come and go, but real lasting growth takes time. That's why we love that Nutrafol isn't promising a miracle in 30 days. They're here to help you grow your hair and confidence from within, one day at a time. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. Their formulations are designed to target key root causes of thinning, things like stress, hormones, nutrition, and aging, all based on your life stage, including formulas tailored for postpartum and menopause.
Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested to measure improvements in growth, quality, and strength. Consistency is the key to meaningful results, and Nutrafol makes staying consistent simple, setting you up for long-term success with automated deliveries, free shipping, up to 20% savings, free one-on-one naturopathic doctor consults, and a complimentary Headspace membership included. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code TCS. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TCS. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TCS. The second case we're going to talk about today involves a Nevada man named Adrian Bailey, who is 27 years old. He allegedly beat his parents, Christine and Roger, to death with a baseball bat in December 2025. So Christine and Roger had been married for 32 years at the time of their murders. Roger loved walking, swimming, reading, watching movies, and time spent with Christine, his family, and their beloved Labradane, Rocky. I don't know if I've ever heard of a Labradane.
No, like I makes sense. Like I'm sure it's a breed,
Yeah.
like Labrador and Great Dane, but I've also never heard of the term Labradane until this.
Yeah. He had worked for the Las Vegas Public Works Department for 33 years. Deputy City Manager Rosa Cortez, who oversees the Public Works Department, told the Las Vegas Review-Journal she met Roger as a UNLV civil engineering student through an internship with the city in the 90s. She described him as a mentor whose death came as a shock. She said, Roger was a very kind man. He genuinely cared about everyone, and he also had a little bit of humor when he would talk. He was funny on occasion and just very sweet. Funny on occasion.
Sometimes funny.
Christine, she was said to be very religious. She was deeply devoted to the church, and she really loved children as well. She served faithfully in Sunday school and children's ministry almost every week. So around 11:30 p.m. on December 27th, Adrian called the Las Vegas Metro PD. He told the dispatcher that he had murdered his parents and that he couldn't take it anymore. He told the dispatcher that he needed to be taken in for murder. He also said that he had killed them and that there was blood everywhere and that he did not mean to. And a lot of those things are quotes. Officers left to respond to the call, which was made from a residence in the 6400 block of New Brunswick Avenue. But Adrian called 911 again from a different area before they could arrive at the home. In this call, he said that officers need to kill him on sight because he was a danger to himself and others, adding, "I've done it." When a dispatcher asked if Adrian had shot himself, he said he hadn't killed himself yet, but he had done some others. Adrian added that he had left his residence without his glasses and that he'd been drinking alcohol, but he had not used any drugs. The report says that he was hysterical and yelling, asking for the police to kill him on sight. He told dispatch that he killed his dad, saying he didn't mean to, but he had enough abuse. Around 11:45 p.m., officers arrived at the second location and took Adrian into custody. He had blood on his skin and his clothes. When police arrived at the Bailey home, they found Roger and Christine in the living room with life-threatening injuries. Roger was pronounced dead at the scene, and Christine was taken to the hospital where she passed away. Police found a child-sized baseball bat at the top of the stairs in the home, and it was covered in blood. Blood spatter at the scene showed that one of the victims was hit with the bat while on the stairs, and both victims were hit in the living room. One of the neighbors told 8 News Now, "It affected me so bad because, I've known them forever. I was stunned too. It makes me, want to cry. They told us a long time ago that they were having issues with him." So Adrian's next court appearance is a preliminary hearing, which is scheduled for February 11th, 2026. That's really all we know as of right now. It does seem like he kind of had some type of mental break. I don't know if there was abuse. There could have been, might not been. We don't have no idea.
Yeah, there's very little information about, aside from what we said about the parents and kind of what, everyone said about them, that I haven't heard anything else about the family. If there were other siblings involved, I haven't been able to confirm that. It does sound like I think mental health was probably an issue here. Like he's 27, he's living at home. I know the cost of living is high these days, so maybe that explains why, but it could have also been something along the lines of he needed to be cared for by his parents. I haven't read what his diagnosis was, if he had one, but for Christine to have told people that they were having issues, it seems like this was something that had probably been ongoing. As you mentioned, maybe there was abuse, we don't know, but it does seem like this was I feel like this would be a mental health episode is what my initial thought is, based on what he was telling the police to shoot him on site and different things like that.
Yeah, it does remind me of the other one we're going to talk about. It reminds me of a little bit of Rob Reiner.
Yeah, and even for like the child-sized baseball bat, that that's a interesting weapon to use.
Yeah.
Like it
Maybe
just
it's
sounds
just
like he snapped.
impulse.
Yeah, snapped and went into a rage essentially and carried out this
that's what it
horrific
seems
crime.
like.
It would be it's an awful, horrible way to die. If they
not a quick one.
No, a very, very, very brutal murder. Absolutely. All right. So this case, the third case, is a doozy. I had actually never heard of this case. Like, I feel like we come across things quite a lot. Like, people send us things on Instagram and, we follow a lot of news stations. So I feel like we generally know some things about, most, I don't want to say most crimes because obviously we don't, but I was shocked. I had never heard of this one.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, Wisconsin woman Carrie Zetel, who was 64, was murdered by her daughter Lauren Spores, who was 29 at the time, and this happened in October 2025, so a fairly recent case. Carrie believed that Lauren killed her husband and Lauren's father, Jeff, in 2018. So a double, essentially. If Lauren was responsible for her father's death, this is now a double murder.
Yeah.
Lauren is said to suffer from schizophrenia. Some background into Carrie. She was born in July of 1961. She had 3 children, Jessica, Alex, and Lauren, and she had 2 grandchildren at the time of her death. Carrie and Jeff met in high school and they reconnected in 1990. According to Carrie's obituary, the two spent many happy years together until Jeff's passing in 2018. This is some information about Carrie from her obituary. It says, throughout her life, Carrie enjoyed many activities, including gardening, enjoying nature, buying gifts for her grandchildren, biking, participating in political discourse, and spoiling her dog, Baby. Most of all, Carrie was a helper to others in need, the weakest and most marginalized in our society. Her incredible generosity often came at great personal sacrifice to herself. She was never shy to cover your bill. Even if she was short on money, she would help you shoulder a burden, no matter how heavy it was. She was a good Samaritan to all who crossed her path. So as we mentioned, Jeff died in 2018. He died in January, and his death ended up being ruled an accidental overdose, which you wonder how Lauren could be involved if it was an accidental overdose. But he and Lauren were noted to have a tumultuous relationship. She would have been around 23 years old at the time that he died. After Jeff died, we did learn some information about the lead up to his death and the days before that. Carrie told the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office that Lauren had hit him over the head with 2 glass bottles. Carrie also told authorities that Lauren would stomp on Jeff's head and bite him. Jeff refused to press any charges against Lauren following the attack. There's a family friend who's spoken out. Her name's Loretta. She said that Jeff didn't believe she belonged in jail. He believed she belonged somewhere to get help for her mental illness, and so did Carrie. The report did also note that Jeff was, quote, known to over-medicate on his pain prescriptions. Loretta said that as soon as authorities found out about Jeff's medication usage, they developed tunnel vision in their investigation. She said as soon as Carrie told the detectives that Jeff was on medication, their whole thing just switched. They didn't care about anything else. It was just because he was taking pain medication. So Jeff was attacked with this bottle, and then a few days later, his body was found in a park, which was less than 1 mile from the family home. He was found 3 days after the bottle attack, and he still had the staples in his head from the bottle incident. Jeff was known to walk or cycle through the park when he was upset, so maybe that could explain why he died in the park. Maybe he'd taken medication, went for a walk to clear his head and ended up having a reaction or an overdose. Carrie, though, had said that Jeff hadn't been acting like himself following the bottle attack. Within 3 months of Jeff's death, Lauren had been served with a domestic violence restraining order, and she was charged twice with violating it. Both times, though, she was found incompetent to stand trial. During those court proceedings, Lauren told the court, "I haven't accepted my dad's death. My mum says I killed him, but I don't remember doing it." So after Jeff died, Lauren was never charged with anything in relation to his death. I feel like it sounds like I don't think she actually killed him at the time. Like maybe the head injury that she gave him the days before led up to his death, but I don't think she actually killed him in an incident on the day of the death.
Right.
Lauren spent the next 7 years in and out of mental health facilities. There are records of Lauren violating the protective order against her in 2018. She was charged with misdemeanor battery and theft in June 2020. This happened after an incident where she threw rocks through the window of Carrie's house at 2 a.m. When she was arrested by police, it was noted that she appeared lethargic. She was screened for drugs and she tested positive for THC, cocaine, and meth. That case was discharged after she was found incompetent to stand trial. Records note that police responded to 44 incidents at the home in the last 5 years, with reasons ranging from family trouble to abuse and threats. There are 10 calls listed as violation of a restraining order. So that is wild. That's, almost 10 per year, almost one a month. That's a lot, to be
exhausting.
Yeah, happening. So weeks before the murder in October 2025, Loretta said, so Carrie had been speaking to Loretta and Loretta has now come out and said, Carrie even said, she goes, maybe if she kills me, she'll get the help she needs. Carrie was hopeless at this point. Early in the morning of October 12th, 2025, which was the day of the murder, Lauren showed up to Carrie's home at around 3 a.m. Carrie called Loretta about the situation. She left a voicemail for Loretta. And Loretta has recounted it, what it said. Carrie said, Lauren was here just now, pounding on the doors, the windows. I called 911. The police came. They caught her under a tarp and she ran away, so I don't know. They're still here. They're going to try to look for her. Carrie told police at the time that Lauren had been staying in a hotel room for a few weeks, but that she kept getting kicked out for being disorderly. Carrie told them, my poor baby, I'm afraid of her. I'm afraid of her. She also told police she doesn't have a place to live. She can't live with me because she's too violent. She tried breaking in. The officer says to Carrie, we can't force her to get some help. Like my partner said, we can go catch up to her and see if she's willing to get some help. And the other officer says, though, voluntarily. Police then discussed with Carrie how to get mental health help for Lauren. However, some of the audio was muted for privacy reasons. The officer said to Carrie, see if she wants to get help or not, or at least offer that to her. And then Carrie says basically it sounds like she wanted Lauren to be taken into custody until that she could get some help for her. She said, stay there until Monday, then maybe we can get her a bed somewhere you know. So this was all in the early morning hours of October 12th. Later that day at 2:06 p.m., Carrie called 911 and said that Lauren was being violent. Police arrived 14 minutes later and they found Carrie with severe trauma to her head with brain matter visible and she was covered in blood. It's believed that her trauma was caused by injuries from a rock, and she was pronounced dead a few minutes later. Officers arrested
it's crazy
Lauren.
to call for help and
they
don't come in time.
Yeah, I guess maybe with a history of calls to the house, maybe
True.
There's been.
But then they should
calls
also know
yeah, absolutely,
that she's probably violent.
Absolutely, and like a rock, that is a crazily brutal way for her to murder her mother.
I don't know. I feel like 14 minutes, I guess it's not that long. I don't know how far away they were, but when you're waiting for emergency help, it's a long time.
Yeah. So Lauren was arrested and she was covered in Carrie's blood at the time. Lauren has been charged with first-degree intentional homicide with a domestic abuse threat modifier. On November 21st of 2025, a judge ruled that Lauren wasn't competent to stand trial and that the court proceedings have been suspended. She will be committed to the Department of Health and Family Services for institutional care. A court hearing for a doctor's report is scheduled for February 27th this year, 2026. I feel like this is probably one where, I can't ever see her being, maybe not ever, but anytime soon deemed competent to stand trial based on her documented mental health history. It just seems like this is one where she will probably be institutionalized for a very long time if she can ever stand trial at all.
Yeah.
I did find there was a sad excerpt from Carrie's obituary that I noted down, and it says, in lieu of flowers, memorials to the National Alliance of Mental Illness are appreciated. So obviously she was very open about her struggles with Lauren. Everyone knew about it. She tried for so long to get help, and what else can you do though if Lauren didn't want the help? And in the end, the worst possible outcome happened, no matter how much Carrie tried to get help for her daughter.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the first one that way, where it's just, what was she supposed to do? What do people in this situation do? You can't get help. There's not a lot of resources. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, crazy. I don't know. All right. So the last case we're going to discuss is a very high-profile one. I thought there may have been enough. I thought there may have been enough information for a whole episode, but there is actually surprisingly little information so far about this case.
Yeah, there was like a lot right away and then nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of just kind of background information about.
Yeah.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves. It's about the murder of Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michele. So that's what I mean. Like there was a lot of kind of background information about the people involved, but in terms of what actually happened, we don't know too much yet. So Rob was 78 and Michele was 70 when they were allegedly murdered in December 2025 by their son Nick Reiner. As some background, Rob was born in March 1947 to Estelle and Carl Reiner. Some of the films he directed, which you've probably heard of, include Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, and The American President. He also acted in films including Sleepless in Seattle, The First Wives Club, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Rob was married for the first time in 1971 to a woman named Penny Marshall. He adopted Penny's daughter Tracy, and the couple divorced in 1981. Michele was born in March of 1955. She worked as a photographer and a film producer, as well as being a political activist. She met Rob while they were both working on When Harry Met Sally, and they were married in 1989. So they did have 3 children together, Jake, Nick, and Romy. Jake has also entered the world of filmmaking, and he also worked at one point as a news reporter in Houston, Texas. Romy is also a filmmaker and was said to have been very close with her parents. So that's kind of the oldest and the youngest child. They seem to be doing quite well professionally. It was just Nick that the family seemed to be having these issues with. Nick was born on September 14th, 1993 in Los Angeles. They've said that he was a troubled child and a troubled teen. He first went to rehab for drugs at the age of 14, which is so young, but
yeah.
In 2016, Nick co-wrote a movie which Rob directed, loosely based on that difficult period in their lives. The movie was called Being Charlie, and it explored the dynamics between the famous father and his son. And at the time, obviously the dynamics are even more interesting because Nick was struggling with addiction. They also talked in the film about the reservations that Nick had about going to rehab. Rob told the LA Times in September of 2015, "The program works for some people, but it can't work for everyone. When Nick would tell us that it wasn't working for him, we wouldn't listen. We were desperate, and because the people had diplomas on the wall, we listened to them when we should have been listening to our son." Michele went on to say, "We were so influenced by these people. They would tell us he's a liar and that he was trying to manipulate us, and we believed them." So Nick told the media in 2016, where he would have been around 23, that he had been in rehab 17 times and that he experienced homelessness after he refused to re-enter facilities. He said, "I was homeless in Maine, I was homeless in New Jersey, and I was homeless in Texas. I spent nights on the street, I spent weeks on the street. It was not fun." So in 2020, pandemic time, Nick was cycling through homelessness, addiction, and refusal of treatment. A friend said Nick couldn't take care of himself. He was living on the streets, doing drugs, not eating, and refusing rehab, all in the height of COVID. So at that time, the family did get a court-ordered mental health conservatorship at that time. That arrangement stripped Nick of control over his medical care and his finances under California law. The law allowed court oversight when someone is unable to provide basic needs due to their mental illness. In Los Angeles County, the Office of the Public Guardian evaluates such cases before a judge appoints a conservator. So basically, Nick was appointed one and he was placed under strict monitoring, testing, and medication compliance. After his conservatorship was imposed, a friend said he seemed better, but that's because he was being drug tested and taking his meds. Another source, in this case too, there's a lot of unnamed sources. Unnamed sources who have come out. This is one of those. They said Nick hated being under someone's thumb. He considered it beneath him. It was a huge blow to his ego and embarrassing. So the conservatorship only lasted for 1 year and it wasn't renewed, as by that time Nick was said to be more stable. Obviously, like they mentioned, he'd been drug tested, taking his medication, so it seemed like he was functioning well enough to not be under the conservatorship anymore.
Yeah.
Despite that, Nick quickly returned to his troubled ways. The source said that all pretty much changed. He started back with his old ways, smoking weed. Nick was adamant that he wouldn't tolerate another conservatorship being put in place. a friend of his said any mention or talks about being placed under another conservatorship would have set Nick off. All hell would have broken loose. So reports indicate that in December 2025, Nick was living in his parents' guest house. The same source said that Nick had recently been diagnosed with schizophrenia. This is a quote. It says, Nick was diagnosed with schizophrenia just weeks before the stabbings and was under close psychiatric care. The source said Nick's symptoms took a turn for the worse after doctors adjusted his medication before the killings, which the family now believes triggered increasingly concerning behaviour. So we've spoken in a lot of episodes too about how changing medication takes a while for people to adapt, for, you know, things to level out again. But it sounds like there was a lot going on for Nick right in the lead up to these murders. So on the night of Saturday, December 13th, 2025, Rob, Michele and Nick attended Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. They got into an argument while they were there. Nick was acting erratically from what I've seen. He was going up and asking people if they were famous and what their name was and things like that. A source told people Nick was freaking everyone out, acting crazy, kept asking people if they were famous. They got into an argument, the father and the son at the party. It got so bad and loud that someone wanted to call the police and report it. The person went on to say, but Conan stepped in and said, it's my house, my party, I'm not calling the police. And he talked them out of calling the authorities.
Yikes.
Yeah. The source said when the shit was hitting the fan, someone said we need to call the police. The conversation was about getting this kid put into a mental health hold. They went on to say it makes sense. Who wants the cops showing up, creating a scene? But the argument between Rob and Nick was pretty intense. Another unnamed source, so I guess you kind of have to take these with a grain of salt, but this is apparently a celebrity who was at the party and they recounted what was actually said by Rob. Rob apparently said, I'm petrified of Nick. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm afraid of my son. I think my own son can hurt me. So, like, I do have questions about why they took Nick to the party. I have read that they wanted to keep an eye on him. Obviously, they were worried about leaving him alone in the house. I just, it just seems like a weird choice to take your son who's struggling to a party like this. But maybe
I
they
thought
just
that too. But then
didn't want him to be alone.
I saw people saying that they were like worried leaving him home alone, I guess. So
yeah. So after this kind of kerfuffle, the family left the party and went home. We don't really know much about what happened after they got home. What we do know is the following day, December 14th, Romy went to the house of her parents. A massage therapist had contacted her to say they'd had an appointment with one of the Reiners and they couldn't access the property. Romy is said to have lived across the street from her parents, so she went to check on them. When she entered the property, she found her father's body and, quote, fled the scene. She allegedly didn't see her mother's body, didn't know that her mother was dead at the time. Romy ran to a friend for help. I've read it was like her flatmate or her roommate, and a 911 call was made at 3:38 p.m. on December 14th. So they were on the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner site. Their entries have been taken down now, but death certificates have revealed that the couple died within minutes of suffering multiple sharp force injuries. Those documents, which were obtained by ABC News, also revealed that they were cremated. The manner of death for both Rob and Michele was listed as homicide. Nick was located by police that evening. Obviously, he wasn't at the house when everyone showed up, but they did have a suspect in mind. I remember when because we were following this as breaking news, and like there was speculation that it may have been the son. So they were found dead at around 3:20 or 3:38 p.m. Nick was located by police that night near the University of Southern California campus at 9:15 p.m. and he was arrested. On Tuesday, December 16th, Nick was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special allegation of using a knife. If he is convicted, he faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. There is the chance that the prosecutors could seek the death penalty for Nick, but the Reiner family are apparently against this. The unnamed source said the family feels this was a massive failure in his care and they firmly believe he was seriously ill when he did this. The last thing the Reiners want is another killing in the face of this unbelievable tragedy, and the death penalty would only bring more pain. It won't bring back Rob and Michele. The other children of Rob and Michele, Romy and Jacob, issued a statement. They said, we are grateful for the outpouring of condolences, kindness and support we have received, not only from family and friends, but from people from all walks of life. We now ask for respect and privacy, for speculation to be tempered with compassion and humanity, and for our parents to be remembered for the our parents to be remembered for the incredible lives they lived and the love they gave. So it must be such a hard situation for them because they know that their brother was, very mentally ill, and then now to have to deal with, maybe him being given the death penalty. I agree. I have read a lot of things that the prosecutors will only proceed with that if the family want it, or it's one of the things they take into consideration. So I don't think that will probably likely happen at this point.
Yeah, it's very sad when someone's struggling with like addiction and mental health issues like that, because you do want to help them and be there for them, but then you're worried that you're enabling them. And that's always kind of like the battle of, do you just let them be addicted out in the streets, unable to take care of themselves, or do you give them a home, but then you're enabling them to be an addict? And it just sucks because you basically lose the person that they once were.
And I feel like it's also interesting because it shows you that even people with all the resources in the world available to them, like the Reiners were millionaires. They had, he'd been in rehab dozens and dozens of times. Still, sometimes in the end, doesn't make a difference. The amount of resources you've had, just, some people just can't be helped sometimes in time.
Yeah. Addiction is hard for sure.
So Nick was initially due to be represented by attorney Alan Jackson. In January this year, 2026, the attorney withdrew from the case. After speaking to the judge, the attorney said in court that his legal team had no choice to withdraw from the case. So the arraignment that was meant to happen in January has now been pushed to February 23rd of 2026. According to People, Nick will now be represented by a public defender named Kimberly Green, and he's been held on no bail. A family spokesperson made a comment following Alan Jackson's withdrawal from the case. They said, as in the family, they have the utmost trust in the legal process and will not comment further on matters related to the legal proceedings. So TMZ are all over this case. They are spending a lot of time on it. They have actually produced a special on the case, and according to them, Nick is not competent to stand trial. The executive producer, Harvey from TMZ, said he's not competent to stand trial right now. He's almost childlike in jail, we're told. He can't process the consequences of what he's done. He knows what he did. He just can't understand where he is right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but he's out of his head right now. So as we mentioned, doctors did change Nick's medication a month before the murders, and this was due to him complaining about gaining weight. And that adjustment, quote, messed Nick up. Nick was also apparently diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, according to TMZ, which can cause delusions, hallucinations, and mood disorders. Harvey from TMZ said the murders were incredibly brutal. He went on to say, we know people in the medical examiner's office who are just traumatized by just the pictures. He claimed that the killings had all the markings of a meth murder, and that Nick had been using meth when he was off the rails after his medication switched up. They added that he was arrested in a drug den, which I don't know if that's a bit sensationalist because other reports say he was arrested at the uni, but I guess maybe he was going there to buy drugs. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Harvey went on to say it has the markings of someone who was just wildly strong. We have not gotten confirmation of that, but we've talked to people. If he were just Nick Reiner without something additional, the carnage wouldn't have been the way that it was. So I read an interesting take on the case from psychiatric expert Dr. Eugene Lucas. He believes that he thinks the Conan O'Brien party incident could have triggered a psychotic break in Nick. He said the experience that Nick had at that party could have influenced the way he felt. Usually the triggering event happens within 24 hours of whatever the behavior is. So that would line up with that happening at the party, and then he went home and maybe he and his parents kept fighting, and that led to their murders.
Yeah, it seems like something like that happened. Like it stems from whatever happened at the party, and I guess maybe if really his medication, we don't know. It's just so many people speculating. Because I'm like, was it his medication being changed? Was he actually doing meth? It seems like there's a lot of possibilities that could have led to this, but yeah, it seems like there's some type of mental break, whether it was meth type of drug induced or medication type of drug induced.
It seems like it was a perfect storm of horrible circumstances, especially this medication change. Everyone keeps mentioning it. It seems like he was very unstable at the time that this was all happening, and maybe just that argument that was the straw that broke the camel's back, pushed him over the edge. we don't know what happened when they went home. Maybe the parents threatened to put him in rehab or a facility or something like that, and he just snapped, or there could be a million reasons why the Conan O'Brien incident was the trigger for whatever happened.
Yeah, maybe they felt like he was embarrassing them at the party and had something to say about it, because then they had to leave early. So,
and imagine just try to call the police, and everyone wanted to call the police, and Conan O'Brien is like, no, you're not doing that. He hasn't made a statement really that I've seen, but I have no doubt he probably didn't want the police at his party. I would understand that as well.
Yeah, because TMZ would be all over that too.
So just in the last few days before recording, Nick's former attorney, Alan Jackson, has spoken to the media about the case, and he has said that he believes Nick is not guilty of murder. He said, "I will stick by that. I stand by it. I still believe it. I believed it then and I believe it now. Every day that goes by, I'm more solid in my belief that under the laws of this state, he's not guilty. My hope is that the justice system sees its way clear to establish that." He also went on to say there's a lot to uncover, a lot of layers of the onion to peel back as it relates to, generally speaking, the mental health industry in the United States. He hasn't revealed his reason for dropping the case, but he did say on a podcast that it wasn't money, which I don't think it would be related to money based on, I don't know, I guess. But now he's got a public defender, so maybe the family aren't willing to spend money on his defense. I don't know. But
well, I was thinking too, he probably would have gotten money from their will, but now, how does that work now? Probably not. I feel like we talked about a different case. It's like, okay, so what if you were in your parents' will, but then you murdered your parents? Do you still get the money? I'd imagine
you use
not.
the money for your defense? And I'm assuming too, maybe if he was the only heir to their estate, maybe it would have been easier. But with Romy and Jake still alive, and
I'm sure it's another whole legal thing that they have to fight.
Process. But that is obviously one that will be ongoing. He's due back in court in around a month, so we'll let you know if anything changes. But I feel like, again, the same with Lauren's case, this is going to be one that's ongoing for a very long time just because of the mental health aspect. And it's a very, very publicly documented mental health battle too for Nick in this case. So I would not be shocked if it drags on for a very long time.
Yeah, I think we'll at least hear updates about it just because it is so high profile.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bet it'll go on for a long time too.
So, we have done a few of these episodes now about kids who kill, and just this stat is kind of interesting. It is an Australian stat, so maybe a little bit different there, but it says parricide, or the homicide of a parent by their child, comprises of only 5% of homicides each year. Parricide is largely gendered.
Too much.
Yeah. Parricide is largely gendered, with sons more likely to kill their fathers and daughters more likely to kill their mothers.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot of... You hear of sons killing their moms, but you don't hear a lot of daughters killing their fathers, I don't think.
No, well, I guess maybe in the one we spoke today. I don't think Lauren, as I mentioned, killed him on the day, but maybe her actions and her assault led up to his death. But you often more so hear of mothers being killed by their daughters.
Or if the daughter does it, it'll be both parents. Not I can't think of any where it's just the dad.
Yeah.
So that is it for this episode. Let us know if you guys have any other cases like this, kids who kill cases. Send them our way because we could do another episode. Or if you want us to do one of all actual kids and adult kids, so let us know what you guys want to hear next. Everything will be on the blog, as always, at truecrimesocietyblog.com. If you want to read more about the cases and see the sources, they're all in there. Check us out on Patreon. We talk about Patreon all the time, but we do weekly bonus episodes. All the episodes are ad-free. We put out the main episode a day earlier, and plus it's just its own community where we chat with people more on there. Olivia's always giving book recommendations. We have a book club chat, so there's lots going on there. So check us out on Patreon. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We're always posting updates on there as well with new stories or cases that we've been following at True Crime Society on Instagram. And if you want to follow me and Olivia, my Instagram is Olivia's Instagram is TCS Olivia. Mine is StephSum_. And all the usual stuff. If you could just comment, share, subscribe, follow, sharing to your Instagram stories, always a big help to show us what you're doing when you're listening to the podcast. We love resharing them, and it helps us and it helps you. So keep doing that.
Yeah.
But that's it. So thank you guys for listening. Stay safe out there. Peace out.